My clock says it's 10 a.m. and we appear to have many members of the committee on and ready to join us. So welcome everyone to the Housing and Regeneration Committee of Wednesday the 24th of November. Do we have any declarations of interest in terms of ethical standards in Public Life Scotland Act 2000? Councillor Goldie.
Thanks, Convener. Yeah, I'll need to declare an interest in agenda item 6. Although Sanctuary have kind of withdrawn from the rehoming, well, from the development of that, they still have some kind of input into it. And as a member of their area committee, I will take no part in the debate.
Thanks very much, Willie. I appreciate that. Any other declarations of interest, colleagues? I can't see any in the chat. Sorry, Councillor O'Rourke.
Thanks, Convener. Yes, item 2 for Mayor's Operation Finance Performance Monitoring Report. I'm a member of the board.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? I'm not seeing any other hands.
Convener, I'm trying to get through here. I'll get used to it as I go on. If you don't mind taking notice this way.
Carry on, Councillor Morgan.
It's Tommy Morgan here. Can I declare an interest in item 16C, Housing Support Services contracts? I've got a relative that works with one of the proposed contractors here.
No problem.
I'll leave the meeting at that point. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Morgan. Just to let you know, Councillor Morgan, your camera shutter appears to be half on and half off. It's the little switch at the top if you want to, you look as if you're peeking through a porthole.
I noticed that and I thought it was intentional. I thought people were just gradually trying to get me out the photo, make the photo.
No, there's a little slide at the top somewhere you'll be able to work that out, I'm sure.
Right, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
So if that is all the declarations of interest, Councillor Morgan, can I ask you to go on mute again, please?
That's all right.
As is our current practice, if we could keep ourselves on mute and indicate by raising your hand you'll get in the meeting, or use the chat bar, that would be appreciated. Moving on to agenda item 2, the Mayor's Operation and Financial Performance Monitoring Report. Brian, is it yourself?
Thanks, Convener. Good morning, colleagues. This report is a standard report we bring every 6 months to committee regarding performance of the year. And I'll go straight to section 2.2 for the performance information. So timescale for all free-link contractors. The free-link contractors being Mears, Saltire and Walker's profiles. Year to date is currently 3.02 hours in comparison to the regulator return of 3.0 hours for 2021. Of that, Mears year to date average emergency timescales is 3.16 hours. So as I say, this is for emergency repairs only. 3.16 hours, the Scottish average being 5.6. Timescale for completing non-emergencies, again for the link contractors, is currently 5.45 days in comparison to the Scottish average of 4.2. Scottish average was, comparing the regulator return of 4.2, Scottish average is 9.4, and their average timescales for non-emergencies is 8.85. As again, a full breakdown is included in Appendix 3. It should be noted that repairs carried out at first time was reported at 99.25% over the same period, with the Scottish average being 92.8. 2.24, customer satisfaction levels, 93.76 year to date. It was reported to this regulator, it was 98.77. Satisfied with the repair service. Scottish average being 84.89, and we continue to complete surveys online from tenants in post-inspection stage. Mears no longer hand over the handheld technology to complete the surveys due to COVID-19, and in January a text message customer satisfaction response was introduced. We're continuing to monitor that to see if there's any blips with people and trying to understand the system. 2.25 frontline resolutions, stage 1 complaints received 2021. The rate to all housing was increased in comparison with the same period last year. This is due to complaints handling being suspended during COVID, although complaints were initially suspended during lockdown. Complaints were logged and responded to from June 20. And of the complaints responded to year to date, 65.38 have been upheld or partially upheld. In the same period last year, it was 53.85. 100% of the complaints have been responded to within the timescales, in comparison to 92.31 of the complaints the same period in 2021. And of that, 3 stage 1 complaints were received in relation to Mears, and they were all responded to in timescale. 86.9 were upheld or partially upheld. analysis of complaints done every quarter with the team to make sure we're not missing anything. Stage 2s at 2.26. Related to the same period, has increased in comparison to the same period last year. A total of 80% closed cases have been upheld or partially upheld in comparison to 50% previously. Again, 100% were responded to on time, and there's been one stage 2 complaint received in relation to MERS in 2021 to date. Again, it was responded to within timescales. And I think Councillor Valentine asked for a note to put in this in future committees in relation to the amount of repairs done, what is the percentage of complaints. So in the period in question from April to August, we had 47,500 complaints. Sorry, 42,500 repairs carried out, and it equates to 0.04% in complaints as a comparison. Happy to take any questions. Sorry, housing, sorry, my mistake. Housing property, corporate property. Sorry, I've just got my pages mixed up there, sorry. No, that's fine, sorry. Corporate property performance. Timescale for cleaning various repairs year to date, April to September, is currently 4.04 hours. And that's an improvement on the 12.2 hours we reported in the last.
Thanks very much, Brian. Hello, colleagues, I appear to have a connectivity issue. Can you hear me okay? Yep, a lot of people seem to have the wee people at work sign warning, so I'll carry on. Thank you very much for that report, and thank you for clarifying the figure there regarding the complaints. I see on the chat bar, Councillor Morgan, can I come to you?
Thanks, Convener. Convener, I have no problem whatsoever regarding the performance of MERS here and the figures in front of us. It's been commendable and tremendous the way they've managed to continue these services during extremely difficult times. But I think there's an obligation to ask this particular question on the overall contractual situation that we have with MERS. On pages 8 and 9, there's reference there to what we're all aware of as the continuation of the MERS contract. Now, I know that that's been ideal because of COVID, that we didn't have to go through this particular onerous task. But if you look at the background to this report, it says that the MERS contract was continued to run into 21st of January 2011. Subsequent to that date, there's been further continuations. Many, as I said, are all as I would say, are acceptable and understandable. But when you bear in mind the political calendar here, I think this is the last monitoring report. If it's a 6-month report, there won't be another one like this until into the new administration. Taking into the new administration, as elected members or as an elected member, I'm asking for some reassurance from the relevant officers. I don't know if it's the performance monitoring officers or it's the accountants, that we won't be leaving a new administration with a hell of a problem because of the continuation of these. Because in effect, we know there that January 2023 is mentioned. If that's continued again for the same time span as has already been continued, it takes you into 2025. And it's not that long ago that this local authority got panned for continuing contracts. I'm not saying this is an exact similar case. Those are individual contracts, continued upon continued upon continued. This is a 10-year contract that's had a couple of years continuation. Can we get some reassurance that we are not leaving the next administration with a problem there, and that that is being looked at and will be re-tendered to ensure best value at the earliest possible occasion or opportunity in the new administration? Thanks, Convener.
Thanks for your question and comment, Councillor Morgan. I'm sure we can give you that comfort. Robert, do you want to respond to this, or shall I go directly to Brian?
Quite happy to respond, Convener. Happy to respond, and then Brian can add to it if required. The first thing is the extensions are approved each year by this very committee, and those extensions are approved within the provisions of the current contract. The contract was for a period of time, plus the council had the option to extend for up to 3 years, and we've taken that option for the reasons that Councillor Morgan has outlined. So we're extending within the provisions of the contract. Second thing is we are extending while we are going through the procurement process, and it's intended that we'll be actually advertising the procurement for the replacement of this contract at the turn of the year. So we won't be leaving any future administration with a problem, as Councillor Morgan has described it. And what we're doing is going through the re-procurement tasks. So we'll be leaving them with a decision to award whenever that procurement process comes to an end. And the reason for the extensions is purely to give us the time to do that. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Brian, is there anything further? I think that was quite comprehensive.
I think it was. The only thing is, as Robert says, it was in with the positions of the Earthing contract to extend for up to 3 years. So we're in safe harbour. And as Robert says, we're going through the procurement processes now as we speak to replace that contract.
I hope that brings you comfort, Councillor Morgan, that this committee will have oversight of the process as we progress. Colleagues, it was remiss of me not to take apologies and substitutions in advance of me jumping into the agenda proper. So, Mark, can I come to you, please? Can we invite those that are in the lobby or in wherever they go when they step out to bring them back in, and can you take us through apologies and substitutions, please?
Thanks, convener. We've got a number of apologies this morning. We've got apologies from Councillors Cameron, Carricker, Councillor Graham, Councillor Paul Kelly, Councillor Kerr, and Councillor McNeill. And we've got 3 substitutes: Councillor Castles for Councillor McNeill, Councillor Stubbs for Councillor Carricker, and Councillor McCulloch, who's in the lobby and we're trying to get into the meeting, for Councillor Graham. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that update. So I've got a couple of questions coming in from, can I come to Councillor Weir, please?
Thanks, convener. I'm sure I've asked this before, and it's still the same. When it comes to current customer satisfaction levels, you give a percentage, but the figure is never given. What is that percentage of? Is that percentage of 10 returns, 100 returns, 1,000 returns? It needs to be a percentage of something. And that figure is still the same 5 years on.
Thanks very much. Brian, can you quantify that regarding the report?
I'm sure the percentage is a percentage of the amount of complaints received in the period. I'll get that clarified, but I think I'm 100% sure that's what it is. Although complaints, of the complaints responded to year to date, a total of, for example, 2.25, 65.38 have been upheld or partially upheld. So the number of complaints, it's a percentage of the number of complaints, and I can actually get Councillor Weir further information if required in terms of numbers.
I think this has been a question that Councillor Weir has asked previously, so if we can include that in the report going forward to give us a numerical, that would be of assistance. And do you require a supplementary? And do you want a supplementary? You're on mute, Anne, I can't hear you.
Thank you, convener. Yeah, we just need a figure, a percentage of something. Right. You can't, just come out. You've just said a percentage of a percentage, or a percentage of whatever was returned. But what was returned? Was it 100 people who returned these? Was it 1,000? Well,
Brian has given the commitment. They'll give you that information, and we'll look at including that in future reports. Councillor Douglas, I see that you're noting apologies for Councillor Curry. Do you also have?
Yes, that's all it was. Thank you.
So, Mark, can we note the apologies of Councillor Curry? Thank you very much. Are there any other questions on item 2, colleagues? No, if we can move on now to item 3, which is the performance report for Saltire. Brian, yourself again. Brian appears to be offline at the moment. Brian, are you able to hear me? I seem to have a lot of people having signalling issues this morning. Brian, are you there? Hi, Brian. We're going on to the Saltire report. Are you able to give that report?
Convener, it looks as if we've got some connectivity issues. I see kind of yellow boxes in the left-hand corner of some of the committee members. It seems to be coming and going.
It really does. Colleagues, we'll keep an eye on that to make sure people are able to participate and officers are able to provide the reports that we need for us to facilitate the agenda. Brian, are you able to give the report now on the Saltire performance report?
Sorry, Convener. Yes, I am. I lost you. I just wanted to clarify a point, if I may, for Councillor Weir on the last question in relation to the number.
Of course, of course.
So I've just remembered that Councillor Valentine asked for this number, the same similar thing previously, and in the period in question there was 4.
We're waiting with bated breath to hear the end of that sentence. It's like a cliffhanger when you're watching your favourite serial drama, you know, we're in suspense to find out who done it. We'll give Brian and everyone a second. Hi Brian, we never got to the end of your comment there. Are you able to re-articulate that? Right, who fed the gremlin after midnight? Who put water in it? What happened? Because we seem to have a wee communication gremlin going on in here for everyone.
I think there's some. I can see some members, convener, and some have their pictures have disappeared. I think we'll get a point in order for Councillor McNally in the chat.
Yes, indeed. Councillor McNally.
Thanks very much, Chair. Just to maybe get a bit of clarity from Mark or yourself in terms of the process, if this continues, in terms of what would happen with regards to this meeting, because if this continues as it has been for the last 5 minutes or so, I think we're going to struggle to see the meeting through.
Yep, I would agree, and the last thing I would want is for a connection issue to disrupt the democratic process and the governance oversight of housing and regeneration. So, Mark, can we seek clarity on if these issues continue? At what point we stand down the committee and recall it for either later, another day, whatever? What's the process, please?
Thanks, convener. That would be a matter for the committee to determine via yourself as convener to adjourn the meeting until a further time, perhaps later today or on another date. I see that a number of members, it's kind of flashing up on my screen, a number of members are now leaving, and I don't know if that's by default, because I don't think they're doing it. It seems as if they're getting kicked out off the meeting rather than leaving voluntarily. So
I know that certainly when we've had connect issues before, colleagues, if we switch over cameras, we tend to get better connectivity issues. So can I suggest that we attempt this item with our cameras off and take that as a test, and we can then look at how we proceed should that not be successful. So we'll all be incognito, but our names or our pictures will be on screen. So please use the chat bar to indicate that you want in for any questions, and I will call you in that manner, colleagues. Less than ideal, but we'll give it a go.
I think at this point, convener, there was 44 on the meeting, and there's now 29. So I think 15 members have been put out the meeting. So
I think in the interest of fairness, I will give colleagues just a minute or two to log back in, as is our standard practice. If you get kicked out, you then re-log in. So I will give colleagues the opportunity to do that. Can I check that, Brian, you are on the call? Brian's not yet on the call, so we'll need to wait on him coming in. Let me just check into the process of when we need to make a further decision.
Convener, I'm getting messages from people also saying that they're having difficulty getting back in, and I would suspect that everyone on the call cannot be having issues with connectivity from their location. And I would think it's maybe something to do with the WebEx connection. So
Yep.
we could ask Mark to reissue a different WebEx meeting to all members to log back in at 10:30, and we'll come in through a different WebEx link and see if that corrects it, because it seems to me that this is a WebEx problem rather than connectivity, because there's too many members are having difficulties, and we couldn't possibly all have that coincidentally at the same time. So if this doesn't work, that might be a suggested way forward.
I would suggest, because I'm just looking at the numbers, I've got a steady, I've got 31, and there's been no change in the last minute or two. So Mark, would you be able to prepare another WebEx link for this meeting and circulate it to all committee members and the substitutes that have identified themselves for this meeting, please?
Yeah, convener, we can do that. What we'll do is all those on the meeting just now, if you just leave this meeting, we'll close the meeting down and we'll reissue it to all those present and the subs as well.
Thank you very much. So we'll reconvene in just a few minutes, colleagues, and aim to start by 10:30 with the new link. So see you on the other side.